issue. Anytime. I'm constantly bitching that I'm broke. I'm constantly spreading word that I'm resonate. That's why she read it, right? I'm constantly bragging about other extremes, 0 to 100. I'm super rich, I'm super this, I'm super that, or I'm broke.
I know something like that. It's just...
Okay, and the calorie counting. That's changing a bit because the younger generations are not obsessed with calories. It's a totally slim, thick Kim Kardashian world. But my generation that comes from the Twiggy, if you weren't counting calories and fat grams, you're wrong. So there's something that I'm supposed to have a lot of, which is bone broth. Bone broth helps to restore the gut, the microflora, because chemo, just like antibiotics, destroys it. And bone broth has the ability to rebuild with like the immunity. So I had a friend of mine make me some bone broth, and she made me 2 already, 1 chicken and 1 beef. The first time she made the chicken, and she's a child of the Twiggy generation too, she's in her 50s, she's like, oh, I made the soup, I'll bring it to you tomorrow, but tomorrow I'm gonna skim the fat. No! No, you don't skim the fat, that's where everything is. So I leave her the voicemail, no. Yesterday, same thing. Oh, I don't know if I should skim. No, do not skim the, but it's Jell-O, it looks gelatinous. I'm like, that's the bone marrow, that's exactly what I need, do not. But she's so conditioned that fat and calories is bad because we came from the calorie counting generation. I have been able, thank goodness, to reprogram that because I know functional nutrition. I happen to be a licensed nutritionist, and I've read enough about this sort of new fat ketosis type of functional nutrition, gut healing sort of protocols. But she doesn't. She's still stuck in that. So when you see that obsession with counting pennies or counting calories, things like that, there is a self-worth issue. So this house has to do with self-worth. And, Aniela, what is 1, 2, 3, the 4th thing on this paper?
Values?
Values. What you value is what you give worth to. Her self-worth is being affected because she cannot value being thinner or looking like her mother because there's a judgment. Judgment and values are always together. And what's the judgment you have about your mother and her body? What did she use it for?
Oh, I don't know.
No, you do know because you've told us, and that I wouldn't know.
I mean, I don't have no judgment.
You have the judgment.
But
You absolutely have a judgment. If not, this whole thing would not have come up.
I mean, she's had a lot of men. That's the only thing I know. Like,
Casina!
I don't know what she's done. I mean, I have an idea, but
Okay, but she's had a lot of men. She used her body for men, and you've also told us that she's used her body for money.
Yeah, money.
So her mother has the prostitute archetype, and what she's linking the potential surgery with is a prostitute archetype. And I don't know your story, and I'm not going to ask because that's none of my business, but living on the streets, there is a theme there. Either an assumption or a mandatory or a necessity for survival.
No, I stole a lot.
So
Did you hear what you just said?
she says she stole a lot.
Yeah.
Possessions,
Oh.
second house.
I stole.
What does she have in her second house? Art and science. Intellect. Your value has to do with your intellect, but you're still judging yourself on your old past behavior. And you are very smart. And you keep seeking degrees and studying. But no matter how many degrees you have, this idea of being on the streets and stealing is never going to get out of you unless you reprogram yourself to understand that you are bright and you have self-worth. Just because you had that hard life doesn't mean you're not of worth. It's very easy for me to say. I don't expect you to change it overnight.
No,
Look at me. I can't figure anything out. I'm a fucking mess. You tell that to a client. But you bring awareness. We don't know how the hell know how we're going to integrate and do it differently. I don't fucking know. I have fucking cancer. I might die. I don't fucking know. I might even not do it. But you're aware. I'm aware. And that's all we can do. That's the best thing we can do to at least say, okay, I've done something to mentor this person, not take their power and bring them to clarity around something. So your self-worth card is upside down. Do you see how you can have this on the side, and as things come up in the session, refer back to it? And you may not refer back to anything. Maybe you're just on the whole hour one the first card. It's there. It's like a security blanket. All that these people do, that's all they're doing. They're just reading and interpreting a symbol. That's why no one has any special fucking powers, people. All the tarot and mystic people archetype are doing, I thought I had it up there. It's on my desk in that position, so that's what I was referring to. The mystic, all of those people, all they're doing is they're doing exactly what I'm teaching you, but they were never taught. They were never taught that this is symbol and this means that. They were never given the education about it. But that's all they're doing. And every deck you use, like I don't use the Rider Waite, which is the very common one with the cups and the coins. I don't know how to interpret that one. I know if I see coins, there has to be a self-worth issue. And if I see cups, there has to be something in terms of collection, like the horseshoe the other day. But I don't know those symbols, so why do I have to freak out about it? There's a gazillion other decks. But that's all mystics are doing. And then all of a sudden people think, oh my God, as the witch walks in, right on cue, that they're witches, when all they're doing is interpreting symbol. That's it. So you can leave this on the side and say, oh, I can refer back to that if it happens to be. And these are all named. So you don't even need to know a symbol. You could incorporate the name of it into, and how did I know that was arts and sciences and it had to do with education? Because he's writing. And anything that has to do with writing or paper and pen has to do with intellect. Okay? And if nothing else, it's a 10 card. And the 10 in numerology is a 1. And what is 1? What is the symbol for 1? You should know this.
Oh.
What? You said the letter, but you didn't say the word. You said, oh. Yes, oh. The symbol for 1 is wholeness. Spirit. The inner God. So if anything, we know that Marcia is confused about her inner worth, because it's the second card, and it's a numerology, and you can easily learn 9 numbers and what they mean. That's a super easy symbol to learn, and you're like fucking a genius. Okay? And it's a 1 card. So we know that she's confused, first card. Turned upside down means she's all messed up about her self-worth related to her intellect or related to what she values her self-worth to be. Did I do magic?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't do magic. You got to get that out of your head. Take a picture of that card and look at the shadow. You're giving me your power. I will not take it. I'll take your cupcakes, but I will not take your power. Okay? So this is the house of self-worth. When you hear people talking about money, do you remember my little statement about place and price? I told you about the airport in Amsterdam. Did I tell you that? Mind your plek.
Yeah.
Okay, mind your plek. This is also the
It's like a
second
slang
house.
thing.
And I told you that my girlfriend in Amsterdam said, oh, that's rude. And I said, what does it mean? And she said, like, mind your belongings. She realized, but it says mind your place. You can't name your price if you don't know your place. You can't name your price physically, what you're going to charge, if you don't know what you are worth. In any currency, sugar, money, men, education, it does not matter what the currency is. Hair, you can't name your price if you don't know your place. You have to know what you're worth in order to make any demands on anything and anyone. And the thing And it's always, 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 when the client speaks, they are always talking about this because they're talking about their values and their judgments. That's why I can say, lie, you are judging it. Not because I'm brilliant or an alright mind reader, because I know that values and judgments are the same. So if you find out what the judgment is, you know what the client is basing their entire self-worth on. That's as simple as it gets. Now, I taught you something the other day. I want to elaborate. Does anyone remember this? The 3 crosses. What were you going to say?
No, I thought you were
The
doing
cardinal,
archetypes
the
again,
cardinal.
but that's
Okay,
not
you were
it.
going to
I
say
thought
about
you
the
were doing
earth.
thing.
Okay. Remember the square with the
Yeah, one is the cardinal, the other
Yeah.
I forgot.
cardinal,
Fixed.
fixed, and mutable. Very good. Okay, let me tell you. 1, 4, 7, and 10 are cardinal. That means that the first card, the 4th card, the 7th, and the 10th are all related. So you have the whole story about Marsha because you have those 4. She's confused. Her mother's a fool. Her husband is impacting her decision. This is her inner God, her inner self, knows as fuck that she's gonna do it. How she fucking knows? This is the best card in the deck. The Sun. It's a 1 card, so she knows her inner God, because this is the 4th house, is the inner, that she's gonna do it. But her dumbass husband and bitch mother are trying to make her confused, and she's putting on some dumbass mask because she learned that on the street, and that's confusion. I did nothing. All I know is that 1, 4, 7, and 10 work together. What is the 2? 2, 5, 8, 11. Look at that. It's the one right over next to it. 2, 5, 8, 11. We have a whole other session, Jennifer. A whole new session because of the 2, the 5, the 8, and 11. This is the axis, the 2, 8 of money and of values. This is the most important axis there is.
Okay.
You're going to remember me doing this, okay?
I think we got it.
Squeak and
The
all.
2, 8 is the most important axis. This is the axis of Christ. Remember I told you this was the cross of Christ? Why? What did Christ do for all of us?
He gave him died. Yeah, he died for our sins.
He died for our sins, and the poor guy bled to fucking death. This is the axis of what? The 2, 8. Why would I tell you the story of Christ about the 2, 8 axis?
Why?
The card, what was the card that came out for me today? The Hangman?
Yeah.
What did I tell you that meant?
Nothing.
No, I did. You may not have been here.
I missed that one.
But I surely said it. I said, this is my theme. I'm going to show it to you. Can you find it for me? It's called the Hanged Man.
Yes.
Why would I tell you this is the most important axis and tell you about Christ? Let's think, critical thinking. Let's put our heads to work.
He died.
Is renewal, so you're like reborn?
Transformation.
Absolutely. This is the axis of death and rebirth. The 8th house, what does it say?
Transformation, renewal, death, and rebirth. Deeply felt, peak experiences, death, interaction.
You forgot a really important word.
Sex.
Sex, people! Sex!
I heard.
What was Christ born from?
Immaculate
Nothing.
Conception.
The Immaculate Conception! There was no sex! Where was he born?
Jerusalem?
No,
Where? What location?
The
manger.
In the manger. In the manger with a bunch of shit and a bunch of animals. No money Joseph and Mary had to pay for a hotel room. And even if they did, they didn't have one available. So the king, God, had to be born in a manger, broke as shit, and from parents who didn't get laid. That's a fucking raw deal, people. A raw deal.
Yeah.
A no thank you. Okay? The reason I told you this, what is sex the currency of? This is super important. Sex is currency of creation. It is the only energy that can create. Second chakra. You needed to wear your orange shirt today.
Oh,
But I love that one. But she's very refined today. She's in her sixth chakra today.
I'm more spiritual.
She's more spiritual today. She's been meditating for me.
Yeah, you know.
Okay? Sex is currency. This is money. This is sex. How many people have a prostitute in their archetype? And everybody should be. Raise your hand, Rebecca. Raise your hand, Thisky. And some of us enjoy the prostitute archetype. Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. I love that. We're looking at her. What's the part when she goes, she turned around and put her back booty on the floor, slide her booty on the floor.
Yeah.
People, we all have a prostitute. Who did supposedly, in the Dan Brown, I think is his name, novels, did Jesus marry?
Mary
Magdalene.
The prostitute with 7 demons. Why would they need to discover that he married the fucking prostitute? This is the house of your beast.
Because you need both.
You need to know your fucking beast. I'm going to give you a slide. Of the 7 deadly sins, the Enneagram, and the reboos. I'm writing it so Mr. Pachi can remind me.
You're talking about the 7 deadly sins, like
Get my phone.
just gluten and all that?
Gluttony, sloth, hubris, yes.
So the 7.
That's your beast. Who remembers what I told you in this book today about the themes?
There wasn't here.
Beasts and monsters is a whole section.
I love that.
The myths of myths and monsters, or beasts and monsters.
I love it.
Of course, because you're a Scorpio, and this is the Scorpio house. Sizzle. And notice how the only word she didn't read off the 8th house was sex. Judgment and value, people?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, you think you didn't see it. But since you've been in my class for 6 months, you know that wasn't an accident. Okay? Beasts. In Hercules. Who has seen some version of Hercules? Everyone has seen at least the Disney version. What is the Hydra?
The one with the snake? No.
Yeah?
The one with the snakes?
Yeah, the beast that has all the heads. Tell me a story time. Hercules was given 12 labors. Coincidence? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until he was allowed to return home and be whole. Not an accident that there were 12. We talked in the last class about the return home, so you'll want to watch that if you haven't already. Okay? So, he was given 12 labors. And labor number 8, and there's a great book, it is difficult to understand, I won't lie, it's called Labors of Hercules, it's by Alice Bailey. But if you go and Google sold, like soul, out, the guy has the entire book free online, split up with the labors, and all the explanation. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay? So I use that when I teach astrology to explain the myths to people. So the myth of Hercules of Scorpio is the one with the Hydra. And he has to go into a swamp. Why do you have to go into a swamp?
It's dirty and yucky.
Dirt, and what is dirty and yucky in you? What part of this? Which part?
Oh, wait, huh? Your subconscious?
Your subconscious, your mind. Your thoughts. And the Hydra, dirty, yucky swamp. Who knows what's stuck in the bottom of their
4 minutes.
subconscious? Are you serious?
Did
Do you actually delete
Did you
everything?
delete
Because
it?
remember that I asked you last time, so you delete everything?
Says 4 minutes.
Maybe you can
Okay,
just,
let's finish this thought and then I'll run down
And
and
then
take
you-
a few breaks.
and then you bring it back and I
And I'll
delete
bring it
everything
back, okay.
manually. 'Cause
My Scorpio. Who knows what's at the bottom of their swamp? I have a bunch of hair on the bottom of mine. Who knows what's at the bottom of their swamp?
She.
What'd you say?
I said she.
Shit. Yes, that's my daughter says it all the time. Shit. Exactly. A bunch of shit. A big, nasty Hydra. The Hydra is a mythological creature that if Hercules was to chop off the head, 2 would go back in his place. What is the significance from a symbolic perspective that if your beast, your shit, your greed, your envy, if you chop that off, 0 to 100 hit, it's going to grow back double. What's the significance of that?
You try to deny it and act like it's not.
Yes! If you repress it, if you suppress it, it
Still
will
there.
continue. What you resist persists.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We cannot deny our Hydra. And every one of us does. The Hydra is the bad bucket. We all do 0 to 100, and none of us do 48 to 52.
I have a painting of her in my bedroom.
Of course you do. Oh my God. Of course.
Yeah.
The sex dungeon that she doesn't want to turn it
I
into.
do.
Woo, woo. Okay, let's take a
I
break
have a little
and then give me about 15 minutes and I'll do that.